Welcome to the next episode of Flix Fellas. I'm your host for today, Joey, and I'm joined by Kevin, who rudely missed last week.
Yeah,
and
but someone's
no James this
rudely
week.
missing this week, so.
Yeah, I think I'm the favorite fella now. So.
It was James for a while. He was the only one who hadn't missed.
Yeah,
what a
but
bum
he
ass
chose
he is.
his
Yeah.
career and education over us. That fool.
Yeah, what an idiot. Like, this
So.
is going to be his career soon, so.
Yeah.
Fuck school.
Yep. That's our lesson to all
Heard
you
it here
kids out
first.
there. Fuck school.
Fuck school.
Stay in podcast. Drop school.
That's it. Just start a podcast from your second bedroom and never go to school ever again.
Done and done.
Easy.
Yeah. Well, today we are reviewing the 2020 Apple original film On the Rocks, directed and written by Sophia Coppola, starring Bill Murray, Rashida Jones, and Marlon Wayans. And it's about a young mother who reconnects with her larger-than-life Playboy father on an adventure through New York. Now, this is not the first time Sophia Coppola and Bill Murray have teamed up together. They also did Lost in Translation, which is a very similar vibe to this movie. I haven't seen it in years. It's been a very long time. But after realizing that she was a director, I was like, oh, it makes sense that the vibes are very similar in these two movies. But, Kev, actually, before we go over to you, I'm going to do a little quick shout out to join our fan page. We have a Patreon up. It's as little as $1 a month, $12 a year. I spent less on that than lunch today. Or I spent more on lunch today than that. So
I was just going to say, what'd you get for lunch? Like some rice?
If you're interested in supporting the show, helping us get better quality content and gear, please consider financially supporting. If not, just feel free to keep listening. That also helps. And like and subscribe, share the show, do what you got to do. We appreciate it a lot. So thank you. Now, let's get into first reactions. Kev, what'd you think of this one?
Okay, so I've never seen Lost in Translation, so I can't back you up on that comparison. It sounds like it would be the same. But this movie stunk, but, wasn't the worst stinky we've ever watched. Does that make sense?
100%.
I felt so indifferent during this movie. I was just like, I'm going to bring back the word from season 1. I was very whelmed during this movie. Bill Murray's a treasure. He was great.
Love him.
Marlon Wayans was really good, even though you don't see him too much in it. I don't think Rashida Jones was that great in it. I don't think it was anything special. Is she even a good actress? All I know her from is Parks and Rec and The Office. Is she good? Because from that, I would say no.
So she's a very well-rounded actress, I'll say this. I know she does a lot of directing, producing.
Well, yeah.
So
writing, a lot of writing.
Yeah, I don't know if her acting is top tier technically, because I feel like she does a lot of different types of projects. I do think she's good. I do know what you mean by this one. It was kind of weird, the way she reacts to things happening. We won't get into spoilers, but it seems very counterintuitive for a mother of two to react those ways.
Yes.
So I was a little confused by that, but I'll let you finish any more thoughts you have before I get.
No, I was going to say it was shot pretty well. Apple TV Plus, we've watched 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Apple TV Plus, whatever it is.
3.
We've watched 3.
Cherry?
Yes, Cherry was.
Cherry, Swan Song, and now this.
Yes, I forgot about Cherry. That was a fucking long-ass movie. They all look like they're shot on iPhones, but with, stage quality lighting. Does that make sense?
Yes,
there's something weird about the cinematography in these movies that it's a little off-putting, right?
I never thought about that, but now that you say that, looking back at Swan Song and this and, several other Apple TV shows and movies that I've watched, it does have that feel that it's just, great quality,
yes,
iPhone
it's too
technology.
Good. Yeah.
But it's not movie quality almost.
Yes. It's something short, but it's super good. There's something super good about it. So I'd love to know how they shot that, if I'm going crazy or we're actually onto something here in the Flix Fellas. But other than that, it was kind of like a wet piece of cardboard, this movie.
I haven't heard that analogy yet.
Yes, it was a wet piece of cardboard.
I agree. I think maybe Apple forces all their movies to use iPhones to increase sales and
Yeah,
promotions.
like
But
like their commercials, like shot on iPhone. They should have put that before the movie was
yeah,
shot on iPhone.
I I struggle with this one too because it's very whelming. Like you said, it's there's nothing overly wrong with it other than like the plot being kind of lackluster.
Boring,
I
yeah.
was expecting more to happen, more like
Mm-hmm.
something because they set up a lot of hype for this marriage to have some issues, and then
Mm-hmm.
again, no spoilers, so I'll save it, but
Mm-hmm.
very whelming. I don't think that this is supposed to be looked at through the lens of husband and wife story, more as father and daughter reconnecting,
Mm-hmm.
even though it doesn't sound like they ever really disconnected. So that's where I struggled
Yes.
with because I would thought that this was going to be more of a husband wife story, and about halfway through you realize it's not. But you're also never really led to believe that there's a reason for this father daughter to disconnect because even though this dad seemed to have been very what's the word to describe like not absent but selfish almost.
Yeah, selfish, yeah.
Yeah, so there was a lot of potential I thought with this one.
Yeah,
But
me too. Especially the cast. Like
mhm,
they had a really good like there's only three people, but they had really good, like solid characters to focus on. They I just feel like they just didn't.
yeah. I also did think though that the chemistry between Marlon Wayans and Rashida Jones as husband and wife didn't really
Mm-hmm.
mesh well. Like maybe
Yeah.
they just didn't do enough. Like they show a couple scenes in the beginning of them like at their wedding day and like being all cute and like swimming their stuff, but like instantly all of that goes away.
Yeah.
And there's no real explanation for any of it. So again, they set up a lot and just kind of fell flat, but
I
that's all I
thought
have to say
I
without
thought her and
spoiling
her
much.
and Bill Murray had good decent chemistry though.
Yeah, agreed.
Even though I didn't love her acting, they were believable as like father and daughter, and like it seemed like they were able to build their history of like what their relationship was pretty well, even though like you said they kind of hint at he was like a selfish absent father, but it sounded throughout the movie until no spoilers closer to the end like you think that they've just always had a hunky dory relationship. So I think they did that well until they did it not well. Does that make sense? Like
it does.
until they kind of threw a wrench into it a little bit, and then it makes it a little different. But up
Yeah,
until then,
it
I
makes
thought,
sense for somebody who's watched the movie
yeah,
because
yeah,
if
yeah.
you don't, you're probably like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
What are they
But
talking about?
I think anybody who watches this movie would agree with that synopsis
Yes.
because, yeah, like you said, that her acting wasn't over the top great, but
Yep.
it is believable that she plays well into the role of a young girl who wants to like please her father, but also distance himself from
Right.
his reckless ways, kind of thing. But
Yes.
I'll say this also for Sophia Coppola as a female director, it seemed very patriarchal. Like
Yeah, it did.
it didn't seem like it didn't really paint, in my mind, women in the best light in this one. And like men it painted in a horrible light, kind of. But
Yeah.
it just was a
Yeah.
little weird. I thought
I agree.
I didn't know she directed this until the end, and I
Yeah.
thought the whole time I was like, oh, a man definitely directed this because it seemed like
Because like
over
she
the
was the
top,
bad
like
guy,
misogynist.
kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's an
let's
interesting point I didn't really think about, but you're right. It does kind of paint it as if she was just a cynical, or not cynical, but
paranoid,
paranoid. Yeah, exactly. And
but she's not, and we'll get into that in the spoiler
right, right,
section.
right.
So let's take a break real quick, get a quick word from our sponsor, and then we'll be back with spoilers.
Yeah.
And we're back. We're gonna
What
get
up?
into the nitty gritty spoiler section, all the gripes, all the reasons we were very whelmed with this movie.
Yeah.
Kev, hit me with your first gripe.
It was just like boring. Like I feel like they're at no point. The only thing I was interested in was is this guy actually cheating or not, and they took an hour and a half to get to that point. So Like there wasn't any like hiccups along the way, you know what I'm saying? They didn't really run into any issues until the end and until the everything was resolved. You know? Like there was no
Yeah.
it was just like, "Oh, I can't. I got my kids. I can't do this." And he's like, "Here's a babysitter." Or she's like, "Okay, I'll just call a babysitter." So it's
Yeah.
like
So
nothing was stopping them. There was no hurdles to cross. There was no problems to figure out. They just had to do it. The only suspenseful part was like her trying to find a text in his phone, and that was all of 2 minutes. So it's like,
yeah.
what was I watching? And it's A24 too, and I really like A24 movies. I think.
They even shout out A24 in this movie.
Do they really? When do they?
Oh,
Did I miss
one
that?
point when they're at a party, he says, "Oh, there's the guys from A24. I got to go talk to them or something like that." Yeah. But
Interesting. That's
let
funny.
me backtrack a little bit, just give a little more synopsis into
Yes.
the movie. Basically, what happens is Rashida Jones and Marlon Wayans are a couple. Marlon Wayans is the founder of this new startup company who is partnered with this also very young, attractive woman, and they are going on a lot of business trips around the world, around the country, to help grow the business. And that was my first gripe. I'm going to say right off the bat is just it seemed very cliche of like starting a business. The jargon that they used was just like, "Oh, we
Oh
got so
my
much
god,
engagement. Oh, the ROI is going to be great. Oh,
dude!
like the
I just
insight
wrote.
we got was just fantastic." Like there was just no detail as to what the business is, but
Yeah,
just all startup jargon.
I said social media buzzwords. That was one of my notes
Yes.
in here. It was like literally he just rattles off buzzwords,
Yep.
insight,
Followers.
ROIs, followers. Like I'm just like,
Yeah.
what? Like who
Like, what do
wrote
you
this? So,
do?
so whoever, yeah, what do you do? Whoever wrote this didn't even like try and solve that part of it. They were just like, no, we'll just say some business stuff that
Yeah.
like sounds like business, and that's it. I
And that's
think
it.
I think it's see, I couldn't even tell you what it was. At one point I thought it was just like a multimedia like company or like a promoting company. Up but I
No
don't know, he's
idea.
going to conferences. He's getting
Yeah.
invited to like conferences places. It's like what the fuck? Like what do you do? Like what is
Yeah.
this? Uh that shit
So
annoys me. That shit
that
annoys
was
me.
my biggest first gripe. I was like, what does he do that he has to travel all over the world and he's going on
Yeah,
these last minute business trips and conferences? Like, is he a scientist? Is he a doctor? Is he like some revolutionary technology that he's being
right.
invited all these places? But long story short was that he's doing all these things and every time he's being a little bit more mysterious, something weird happens. So Rashida Jones starts to believe that he's cheating on her with his business partner,
Fifi.
Fiona. So,
The one of the daughters of Dorne.
huh?
Yes. One of the Dorne girls from Game of
Game
Thrones.
of Thrones? Really? I didn't
Yes.
recognize that. Okay.
Yes.
Kevin has an eagle
100%.
eye for cameo slash like
From
Game of
especially Game of
Thrones.
Thrones cameos, I feel like I'm always like, oh, that was this person in Game of Thrones, or oh,
They were in
that was
one
this person.
episode in season 2
Yeah.
background. Like,
Well, it's either that or Marvel, and to be fair, this girl was
true.
in both. So, like, it just you didn't watch the Netflix shows, did you?
I started them. I watched the first a couple, but
Like
now that me
Daredevil,
and Amanda
yeah.
started from the beginning, where I'm just
Oh
gonna
no no
watch them all
no,
with
the
her.
Netflix ones from
Oh, the Netflix
like
Marvels, the OGs.
2014. Yeah,
I
like
saw Daredevil.
Daredevil. So she was in Iron Fist,
Okay, I didn't see Iron Fist.
which is also with a Game of Thrones character. Anyway,
Interesting.
we're getting
We're getting
sidetracked
sidetracked.
from
Yeah,
Fifi and his business, but
yeah. So that was my first gripe was that they didn't really establish what his business is. They just kind of used a bunch of jargon to like clarify that he's a big hotshot for a startup.
yeah.
She's not wrong to think that he's cheating. Like
No,
there's
100% no.
so many reasons to believe that he's cheating at all
Yeah.
times. And they kind of like just gaslight. Like it was bizarre because spoiler, he's not cheating, but up until the very end, I was expecting like him to say like, oh, like there's a lot of things that just go unanswered.
Yes. Well, I thought they put a bow on a lot of things.
What about the scene
Did you?
where he's at the bar with the two other people. He reserved a table for four, and he calls and says, "I'm not going to be home past midnight because we have to go to a next place." And it's just him and the girl
where did
that
he go? Yeah, where
They
did
never
he go?
say, because he gets pulled over by a cop who has a very generic Irish last name.
Yeah,
and Bill Murray
so
just happens to be like, "Oh, Tommy's your dad."
That was
right?
kind of funny though.
It was funny, and like obviously they built him up as this guy who knows everybody, so it kind of works.
It made sense.
But it was just like it's New York City, and you're talking to a New York cop, which there's so many. It's kind of
There's so many Irish cops in New York City.
A little unrealistic, but
did you like never? Did you all? Were you always set on him cheating? Because I thought pretty early on he wasn't, and that's where this movie was going. Was that she was overthinking things?
No, I wasn't set that he was cheating because, especially with the Cartier subplot, that he bought something from Cartier but didn't give it to her, so then the dad makes him believe that she's cheating. But he openly said, "There's more to your gift." I have something else.
Yes. I was going to say that.
So instantly I was like, okay, that's the second part of her gift. That's what, like, I don't think he's going to be cheating, but I did think something was going to be fishy. Like, maybe him and Fiona are laundering money. Something was going to be, like, on the sides. Like, different. But
that would have been crazy. And they had no time.
Twist movie.
They had no time to, like, work that twist in there, but it would have been fucking hilarious if the last 2 minutes of the movie it's like, I was laundering money this whole time.
I work for the Mexican cartel.
And they just
that's why I had to go to Mexico. Yeah,
exactly.
Speaking of your gripe too about how like everything just happens, like she just bought a last minute trip ticket to Mexico. She leaves the two daughters with the mom and just goes to Mexico. Like, that's got to be an expensive-ass ticket from New York, but nonetheless.
I feel like the dad probably bought it.
Probably.
Was probably just like, I have it all set up. Like, that's kind of his MO the whole time. It's like, we're all set up. We just got to go.
Like, we don't have no idea what he does, but he also has his own personal driver. He gets cars whenever he wants, knows everybody.
He made some money. He made some
art deals in Mexico. Yeah.
Who did I miss who the older woman was earlier on in the movie? It was like her mom, and another older woman. Is that Bill Murray's? Yeah.
It was Bill Murray's mom.
That's what I thought. Okay.
I didn't know who the other two were. I don't think that was her mom.
Yeah, it was across from her, because we see her later in the movie. Not the young one.
No, I know.
That's her sister. That's her sister. Yeah.
But why? Like, it doesn't make sense to me why Bill Murray's mom would be having lunch with her ex daughter-in-law and her two kids. Like, granted, they're still her grandchildren.
Yeah.
But why would the mom be there? It just seemed a little, like, weird. Because they also never, like, solidify, like, she never says mom or sister to her, which, again, you don't have to. We can use context clues to assume and figure it out, but it's just weird that never, like...
But it takes you till the end of the movie, because they don't mention her having siblings until Bill Murray refers to her as, like, them, as far as, like, or
the kids.
You guys are the kids or something.
Yeah.
That's when you find out, and then it's like, oh, it's probably her sister. But I don't think they ever clarify that then. I don't think they clarify that that the other woman is her mom until you see her with the kids after Mexico. And then it's like, that's the mom.
I feel like we typically complain that movies are too long. I think this one was too short. It was only about an hour 35, I want to say.
That was with credits. I finished like an hour. Yeah, I think it was an hour 25 without the credits.
They could have added 20 minutes to the beginning of this movie to add a lot more like depth
exposition
to the father-daughter relationship, how the marriage started out so cute and fun to this kind of like distant, questionable relationship.
Yeah.
You could explain a little bit more about what he does, like, for work.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, like, no exposition. There was no build up to it.
There was
and that's where
they didn't like build out the characters or flesh out the characters enough.
Which I don't need it to be told to me so explicitly, because I do think that was kind of the intrigue that kept me involved. Was like, I'm like, okay, they're not hand feeding us all the details. Like, I got to really pay attention, try to figure out the dynamics between these people. Like, it's interesting in that aspect, but when there's like kind of no closure to it or no like answers, it feels a little bit like rushed and not like, oh, we didn't hand feed it to you, but we also, because we assumed you could figure it out, but we also didn't build up the backstory.
Yeah. It's like they were trying to jump to the plot as if the plot was interesting enough to keep us into it the whole time, but then they just, it's not.
Yeah.
The plot isn't anything special either. So,
and again, I don't think. Sorry,
go ahead.
Finish.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't think this is a plot meant where it's on the surface about a husband and wife, but in reality, it's about the father and daughter. There wasn't enough hiccups or actual tension between them.
Yep.
To make you realize that until the very end.
100%. It's not like I feel like stories do that well, right? Like rebuilding that relationship or going and looking back at this kind of broken father-daughter relationship. They do well when that movie when the plot forces them to work together on something, right? You know what I'm saying? It's against their will. And then that's how they resolve the conflicts that is in front of them, but at the same time within themselves and has been building within themselves. But this didn't show any of that conflict beforehand, nor did it force them into this position. She just went along with it. And then they kind of gave a throwaway line that he's a selfish dad and she didn't like that, and then all within, a week, it's all solved off camera. So yeah, it was a weird way to tie that up. Well,
and the weirder thing is too, if you're going to if you want us to figure out that they had a tense relationship beforehand, the very first time we hear them talking to each other, it's on the phone, and she's instantly asking him for advice about why her husband would pull back from his sexual advance mid conversation, mid moment. I'm like, why are you telling your dad this? Why are you airing your dirty laundry right away?
Weird.
Your dad's gonna hate this guy now without any proof or explanation. It's just airing your dirty laundry very quickly to a guy who's supposed to not be that close with. Yes. And I think they tried to do it oh, he's in France, flirting with his girlfriends, he's not there for her, but at the same time, next scene, he's there in New York. He's let's go to lunch, let's talk about this, let's figure it out. Yeah. They have a very interesting relationship, which, who knows, maybe Sophia Coppola is trying to make a movie about her and her dad relationship.
Maybe.
Francis Ford Coppola?
Is that her dad?
I think so.
So she's Nick Cage's sister?
No. Nick Cage's uncle is Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh, so it's her cousin.
Yes, I believe.
Get out of here. I didn't even realize that. Hold on, I have her page up right now.
Yeah,
Am I just dumb?
Yeah, parents, Francis Ford Coppola and Eleanor Coppola. Relatives are Nicolas Cage, cousin.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I had no idea. The more you know.
The more you know. Hollywood is full of nepotism.
What did I say?
Circle back to our episode on the bubble.
That's why Nick Cage changed his name, because he didn't want to, I guess,
be associated
have that association. Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to kind of
build his own name.
Merits.
Yeah. Which is cool. I heard that new movie, not to get straight away, but I heard his new one coming out is actually great. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yes. I just saw a commercial for that, and someone else was telling me that it's pretty good.
Yeah. It had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes when the first reviews came out. Isn't that so funny?
We'll have to check it out.
We'll have to check it out. Anyway, yeah, this movie was just generally weird, just boring. I I liked seeing Marlon Wayans again in like a serious role. I feel like I've never seen Marlon Wayans. I didn't watch what was that? In Living Color. That was the big TV show he was on back in the day. Obviously, that was a little before our time, but all I remember him from is like Scary Movie, and it's
what about White
like,
Chicks?
Or White Chicks, yeah, or White Chicks, and it's just like totally different, different.
Can we circle back now to the conversation about why we were surprised that Sophia Coppola, a woman, kind of made this movie?
Because she was wrong as shit. She was just like blowing things out of proportion, and rather than communicating the right way and saying like, hey, what's going on, or I'm feeling this kind of way, she's just like, let me spy on him, he must be cheating.
And like the way the dad treats women and talks about them, and is like telling his daughters to have like long and pretty hair versus short and ugly hair and stuff like that. Like it's just very kind of like demeaning to women.
Yes.
And obviously we're two men, so we can't talk too much about this topic from the opposite perspective. But I could hear Amanda's voice watching this and being like, oh, Amanda definitely made the movie. Like, it's just, I was kind of surprised. Because it seems like a movie that would have been made in like the early 2000s. But
I agree. And it just wasn't, it wasn't very woke at all, Joe. You're right. But I think it passes the Bechdel test, which would mean it's woke.
Educate me.
Okay, the Bechdel test is like that thing with like women in movies or like any piece of fiction.
Oh, yes.
Where there's like, they have to meet a certain amount of criteria to pass this Bechdel test. Sorry, my camera just went out of focus.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that? I just like, it's all the beer. But I forget what all the criteria was. I think it's like two female characters need to have a conversation. Oh, yeah, here it is. Two women need to talk about anything but men. Yes. Oh, maybe it doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
No, I feel like if anything, it fails it.
yeah, that one conversation she has with the two other women is all about a man.
And every conversation she has with the
from Parks and Rec.
Girl.
Yeah,
what's her name?
God, what's her
Jenny
name?
Slate.
Jenny Slate. Yeah.
Every conversation is about her.
Yes.
Talking about her relationship with a married man.
Yes. Never mind. I'm wrong. This does not pass the Bechdel test. Should we start doing the Bechdel test?
The Bechdel test on every movie.
And see how woke. We're watching the most non-woke movies. No, it doesn't pass the Bechdel test either. You're right. This movie is completely unwoke.
Yep.
Good job.
Thank you.
Coppola, whatever your first name is. Sophia Coppola. Good work. Nice job representing women. I only had little gripes. Like, why'd she jump in the pool with her veil on? Like, she was already, like, ass naked. Just take the veil off. You're going to ruin your veil. Nobody asked where they went during the wedding either. They just, like, left. Like, no one was like,
I think that was, like, assumed that was, like, afterwards.
I thought they were, like, sneaking out.
I don't think so. But let's talk about our little gripes, because I feel like those are some of the better ones sometimes. He calls her conveniently right as she gets to Mexico and is about to approach his hotel room. And says, oh, I'm coming to New York. And she never says, oh, I'm in Mexico. And he's like, I'll call you when He's not a very good listener either. Like, he constantly is, like, not answering her questions and just like, okay, we'll talk later, I'll call you back. And then never called her back. Like, never was like, hey, I just got home. Where are you? Why does your mom say you're in Mexico? Like, I just got back from Mexico. Like, there's never, I mean, I know that they had like a little stint kind of for like a minute. And he's like, what the hell was that about? It's nice that it's not hand fed to you, the story, but you need a little bit more.
Right. It was just missing.
Like, what do the characters know? Like, how much do they know at this point?
Right.
Time just passes and we don't know what was talked about yet or what like was addressed. So that was a little gripe that there was no just like clarification of like, hey, I'm in Mexico. Like, for all I know, like she never told him, and he didn't know she was there.
Right.
Obviously,
right.
you got to assume that he does find out.
But
But
like someone told him, like the mom or the
Fifi,
kids, whatever it is.
something.
Yeah, so exactly. Yeah, no, it was just little stuff like that, and then it was just generally boring.
Do you have anything else you want to say about this one, or shall we hit up our game?
I have nothing else. This was an 1.5-hour movie, and nothing really happened in it. So
It's a fair assumption.
yeah.
Honestly, I know Lost in Translation is like a critically acclaimed movie, and it's praised as like a very timeless movie.
Yeah.
From my memory, it has a very similar whelming aspect to it. Like,
really?
I don't
just
remember I remember like ending the movie and being like, what was that about? Like, what did I just watch for an 1.5 hours? But I think I was also too young to like understand it. So
yeah,
I might go back and give that another watch.
It did well in the box office. $4 million budget, $118 million box office. Not bad.
I think it was an Academy Award winner, if I'm not mistaken. Lost in Translation won one Oscar. It might have been Best Picture for winner. No, Best Writing and Original Screenplay.
Oh, okay, that's pretty good.
Okay, On the Rocks, Tomato
On
Meter,
the Rocks.
Official critics review. What do you think?
I feel like it's not as bad as I would put it. It's probably like a 67. Tomato meter, or was that audience? Wait, I'm sorry.
Tomato meter. Critics.
Tomato meter. 67.
67. Wrong.
Was that close?
7.
Whoa! Yeah. They really liked it.
Critics loved it. Certified fresh.
Oh, I don't think it's certified fresh. Now, okay, I'm going to go even lower than what I said for the audience score then.
Okay, what do you think?
I'm going to go 53 on the audience score.
Ooh, so close.
Was that close?
50.
Oh, 50. Okay.
Yeah, the audience.
I like the audience score better. Yeah, I'm with them.
So, me and James had this debate, well, kind of a debate. I brought it up last week that I usually agree more with the audience score.
Me too.
But for the Lost City of Z, I agreed way more with the critics' tomato meter score. But this one, I think 50 might be a little too low for this one. I would give it like...
I think 60s is the right answer for this one.
High 50s, low 60s.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's an 80.
It's definitely not 87.
87. Holy 87. That's fucking
like almost
shit.
90.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's wild. I don't agree with that, like, at all.
No.
Like, at all.
Not even in the slightest.
No.
There should not be an 8 or a 7 anywhere in this rating.
Well, then, hey, are we pressing play or scrolling then?
We've never made that decision yet.
You're right.
So we can't double down. You start.
I'm scrolling. And I think it's a pretty, like, I'm not going to give it any, like, oh, if you like this, then this. I think it's just, like, don't waste your time.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I want to give a stipulation, but
what stipulation is there?
I thought it could
if you and your dad had a bad relationship.
No, I think it could be a good like date night movie.
It's really
but
not.
It's not because it's really like not. It's paranoia and cheating, and it's not like
it's really
that.
Not.
I thought it'd be a good like. It seems like a good movie to watch with your significant other, but it's not. So
definitely
I'm gonna keep scrolling too. Don't
pretty definitively.
Honestly, I picked it and I kind of regretted it right away because I was like,
when I saw Bill Murray, I was actually pretty excited.
That's what made me pick it. Yeah, I was excited about Bill Murray, but I mean, just the fact that like it's from 2020.
Yeah,
and I haven't heard of it. Like this is the first time I heard of it because I was like researching a good movie or like a decent movie to pick.
Yep.
So that's why I came.
Damn, I should have picked.
I know you should have.
That's good.
That's it for today. Make sure to subscribe if you like the content that you're hearing. If you're still with us, because
that one sucks.
Sometimes ramble a little bit. But like the video, share it with your friends, tell your family about us, stop us on the street for a picture or an autograph if you see us.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. That's my goal. There's just one person to stop me on the street that
I
doesn't
don't
know
know
me
how
already.
I'd act. I'd be like, how do you know me?
If
Flicks
someone came up to
Fellas?
you and
You
said,
watch that?
"Oh my God, are you Kevin from Flicks Fellas? Like, can I have your autograph?" What would you do?
I'd say, all right, who told you to say that? Is Joe over there?
Yeah. Okay, let's end this.
Goodbye, folks.
See you, everybody.
Oh.